Hey guys, Matthew, and welcome to the next bossing video guide. So today we're going to be looking at the last of the recipe for the feared, which is going to be Uber Elder. So it's actually pretty interesting for Uber Elder because essentially it's taking the fight from Shaper, which I've already made a video about, and Elder, which I've also made a video about, and putting them together. There is literally nothing different and nothing new from either of these bosses, but of course you have to deal with them at once, right? Now, in terms of how to acquire this fight, it's pretty obvious, right? You've got 2 fragments from the Shaper and 2 fragments from the Elder. Once you've got the 4 of them, you can actually access the fight. That's it. All right, one thing that I do want to talk about a little bit more, though, before the showcase and whatnot, is going to be the loot. So this fight is basically all about Watcher's Eyes outside of the very, very beginning of the league. Now, in the beginning of the league, Void Fletcher, the Mark of the Shaper, Elder, Gun, those things are going to have some value, but they are going to devalue, like, instantly, right? But the Watcher's Eyes are going to be where your value is going to be. But one thing I want to talk about when it comes to Watcher's Eyes is that there's basically 2 stat Watcher's Eyes and 3 stat Watcher's Eyes. If you've ever wondered why, anything that's item level 85 and below is going to be a 2 stat Watcher's Eye. Meanwhile, anything that's 86 and above is going to be a 3 stat Watcher's Eyes, and that's going to be basically the ones from Uber Elder. They're always going to have 3 stats. Now, one thing I want to talk about when it comes to that is that if you're somebody who plays the game like a lot, but not like a tremendous amount, not like a job, right? If you, let's say you farm maybe, I don't know, 20 or 30 Elders in one league. If you do get these Watcher's Eyes, I would recommend to sell them unidentified. You're going to make more currency. It's going to be a lot more consistent if you sell them unidentified. Meanwhile, if you're somebody who chains like hundreds and hundreds of these in a league, then of course identify them, because at some point you're gonna get lucky. And I've seen one of these sell for 7 mirrors for a triple Hatred Watcher's Eyes in the past, right? That's probably, I think, the most expensive Watcher's Eyes I've ever seen. Perfectly divine triple Hatred, absolutely crazy Watcher's Eye. But 7 mirrors, right? That could be you, but chances are it won't be. But the thing is, if you're farming literally hundreds of these in one league, there's a good chance that you're going to get something incredibly good. The thing is, that thing, whatever it is, and however much it's worth, if you would have sold all of these unidentified, you probably would have made more than if you were to actually identify something really, really good. But hear me out here. Of course, identifying these is really fun, and the gambling aspect is also really fun. So it really comes down to you, but if you're looking for consistent money, sell them unidentified. Okay, now let's talk about the other loot. Disintegrator, not a great staff, typically worth a little bit in a league start scenario, especially for physical builds. It's okay staff, but not crazy. Void Fletcher is great. Quiver, pretty budget stuff, pretty expensive in a league start scenario because it helps certain bow builds for bossing, like very, very early. Things like Ice Shot or Tornado Shot use this quiver to get a lot of damage early game because of the Void Shot. But again, one thing about this is that the arrow pierce initial target is actually really bad. It's actually one of the worst implicit ever for this because it makes your Void Shots pierce, and you don't want them to pierce. You want them to stack as close to where you shoot them as possible. So what that means is that valuing this quiver for any other implicit is actually not a bad idea. And of course, you've got some really insane implicits like Chain or +1 arrow, which is worth a ton. Okay, next you have Mark of the Shaper and Elder. Really, really good rings, but unfortunately, they're super common, so they drop in value incredibly fast. In a league start scenario, however, they are quite expensive. Same exact thing for the Gun. Very expensive early, drops extremely fast. Typically not so much because it's super common. It's actually one of the most uncommon drops, I believe, from Uber Elder, but just because there's not enough demand, even in a meta where it's a meta item, the demand just isn't there. There's not millions of people who want this item, right? Void Forge, typically pretty cheap item. There's also a divination card for it, which is very, very common and very cheap. So yeah, typically not a great item. The Eternity Shroud used to be the king. It was like 20x back in the days. For any Eternity Shroud, it was like the drop to get. But nowadays, well, it's just, I'm not sure what happened to it, but the meta's just not there, I guess, because it's very, very cheap. Matter of fact, it's one of the cheapest drops from Uber Elder typically. And there's also a divination card for it now. And he also drops the Gulf, which is a double implicit Thread of Hope for 5 cards, which is actually quite nice, but again, not a jackpot. You're really looking for those Watcher's Eyes, which is why, of course, we are going to go ahead, and if we want to farm a ton of these, we are going to go for Remnants of the Past. But what we really care about is Gaze into the Abyss for the Elder, 10% chance to drop a Watcher's Eyes, and of course Shaper having 3 additional Shaper items. It's a very, very good node to take, both for Uber Elder, Shaper Elder, and of course for the Feared itself. So it's really, really good to go there. That's pretty much all I have to say. So let's get right into the actual showcase. So what we're going to do here is we are going to put them in this order: red, red, gray, gray. We are going to put Maven on the fight, of course, as we want to be able to fight the Feared, and we're going to hop right in. Remember, as I said, if you've seen the Shaper and the Elder video, it's the exact same thing, but you're dealing with them at the same time, which means there's going to be a very specific way of running this fight in order to make it, well, doable. Now, one thing to note is because Maven's on this fight, there's a chance that this is going to become very, 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 very hard to deal with. So in a League Start scenario, if you don't plan on doing the Feared and you're just farming this for the Watcher's Eyes, for example, or Indigon being worth a ton, don't put Maven on here. It makes the fight much harder, like significantly harder. Of course, we're just rocking a 5-link, the exact same setup as we've been for the rest of the series. Very, very cheap entry-level gear. I mean, we don't even have Temple Gloves for the 50% increased damage against shield enemies, right? So very, very cheap setup. One thing to note is that we do have culling when we put down our Arcanist brand because of Marked for Death, which gives you culling strike against marked enemies. This is super, super useful. So we're going to put down our Arcanist brand, which gives us Sniper's Mark, which is going to allow us, or totems, to cull the enemy, which is very, again, very useful for bosses. All right, so let's get right into the fight. And it's very simple. All you have to do is walk around in circles. Because we're playing a totem build, unlike a miner where you have to be stationary to do damage, you could just keep moving forever, right? So that's it. You're literally never going to get hit for these phases if all you do is you walk around in circle. Now, one thing to note is that after a while, it's going to start spawning ads. It's very important that you kill these ads before you even kill the bosses. And it's also very important that you don't let these vortex balls touch you. Now, they do disappear after a while, and of course after the phase, but it's important that you don't let them touch you, because if they do appear on the ground, right, let's just say I pop it right in the middle of the arena, I have to deal with this for the rest of the fight, which is awful. Okay, so one thing we're going to do is obviously we're going to debuff the boss. Pay attention to these ads, remember, right? These ads, and the reason why we want to kill these ads, by the way, for those who don't know, is because they spawn degen pools on the ground, and we don't want to be dealing with this. Okay, so another thing to note is that if your build doesn't have Frostbomb, you definitely want Frostbomb here, because these bosses have quite a bit of HP, and we don't have that much damage, right? So if Maven is constantly healing them, it's going to make it much, much harder for us. But if we have Frostbomb on our build, we can prevent a lot of that regen from even happening, which we do because, of course, it's on our Arcanist brand setup, so we don't really have to worry about it. Okay, so let's get right into the actual fighting now. Let's go ahead and kill this ad, and then let's get to the fight. So we are going to debuff the boss and put our totems down, and that's it. That's it. All we're gonna do now is keep walking around in circle and let our totem do what they have to do. So eventually you'll see this purple bubble spawn around the Shaper, and that means that you can no longer do damage to him. Right there, you saw that purple bubble, which means that at this point it's time to focus on the Elder. The Elder's bubble is going to have disappeared. So we are going to debuff the Elder now, and then put our totems down and let them do their thing. Make sure that you are not putting the totems too close, because if you put the totems too close to the bosses, you're not going to get through their second phase, and that's where you get most of your damage. Okay, this is the second phase now. So what's going to happen is that... Oh, almost got hit by that. What's going to happen is that there's going to be these portals that are going to be spawning, and these portals are going to spawn ads. Again, remember, focus on the ads before anything else. There's going to be 2 or 3 waves of these portals, and once you've killed all of them, they're gone. You're done with that phase, and we are right back to the exact same thing that we had to deal with initially, right? The exact same thing. We debuff, right? We put our totems down, we let our totems do their job, and we keep walking around in circle. All you have to do for this fight is literally that. Keep walking around in circle. Now, once you see this big old circle here, you have to be inside the middle of it in order to not die, right? Because when this explosion happened right there, if you're not inside the middle of it, you're dead. So what happened here is I was trying to stick it to the middle of it because I knew that it was going to explode soon, but unfortunately I got spiked or auto attacked or something by the Elder. Probably didn't have my actual what's it called? I didn't have my Arcane Cloak up, so I died, right? Remember, you don't want to get hit on a build like this. So here we go. That should be it for this guy. We should just be... Oh, not quite. Really? Should be just about it. Here comes a slam. Once you see the purple item, the purple icon on top of your head, you really want to focus on, you know, inputting a movement command or a blink of any kind. So here we go with that. This means that he's about to do another bubble now, and we are down to the next of the phases. So here we are again with the big explosion. Want to walk out of that, and here comes some... nope, not quite actually. We still have to do a little bit more damage to him. Again though, all we have to do is walk around in circle. We're never gonna get hit. We're not gonna die. Everything's gonna be fine. Right, gaze into the abyss means that you're about to get a big beam, right, targeted at you. Okay, so we have now entered the next phase of the fight, which this phase is very easy. All there is basically Shaper is just sitting there channeling monsters from a portal, kind of the exact same thing that from the Shaper fight. And all you have to do here is walk around in circle, because what's going to happen is the Elder is actually going to put a bubble as Shaper is spawning these mobs. So the way to prevent dying from that is very simple. Just walk stay very close to the Elder and run around in circle. So here comes a slam. We saw the purple icon on top of her head. We know we're about to get slammed. Focus on killing the ads. Go right back to the Shaper here. I think he's just about to get phased. No. Unluckily, he got healed by Maven. So another slam coming in. Boom, boom, boom. Keep walking around in circle. Keep doing damage. Maven is being a little bit annoying here, not letting me kill him. But again, very easy to deal with. Okay, so a bubble. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait until the very end so that I don't get hit by any of that. Oh. And saw the purple icon on top of my head. Make sure that I dash out of that. Let's go ahead and phase this guy. There we go. Now it's going to be Elder time, and then after that there's going to be another portal phase, and after that it's going to be the end of the fight. So here comes the tentacle slam. All you have to do basically is just flame dash or smoke mine or use any sort of moving ability. Very not too quick but not too slow. It's kind of like you saw the rhythm is like dash, wait like 2 tentacles, dash, wait 2 tentacles, dash, and then you'll be fine. If you dash too quick, the tentacles are actually going to hit you, and if you dash too slowly, they're going to hit you. So there's a lot of timing here. I highly recommend before the league start, if you intend to do these, you know, to farm this, that you get yourself some good old practice and standard. Okay, so now this is one of the most annoying part is when he puts the bubble in the very corner of the arena. Because I'm not going to see Shaper, which means I don't know if I'm about to get blasted by some beam or something, because he doesn't always say gaze into the abyss before he just blasts you into another dimension with his beam. Okay, so more of the tentacle stuff. Alright, here comes some more gaze into the abyss. Here comes some ads. That was an Elder slam right there. You saw that. Again, the exact same thing from the Elder guide. There's nothing special there. Make sure that you don't hit too many of the degen pulls, because that's going to make the fight significantly harder. Okay, so I'm not liking this at all right now, because the bosses are in the corner of the arena where I have no vision of them. And I'm not able to go in and degen them, and I don't know what they're channeling. So this is like worst case scenario, when the bosses are super far apart, so you can't see both. What makes this fight really easy is seeing both the bosses and exactly what they're doing. The moment you don't have both of them in your vision, it becomes a lot harder. Okay, so let's go ahead and keep going with this fight here. Let's go ahead and debuff the Elder so we can actually kill him, or at least get to the next fight. So that right there was an Elder slam. I think it's about time. There we go. So this is the exact same thing as the second phase. It's a portal phase. We're going to go ahead and take care of that. And once that's done, right, we are going to be at the last phase where we're going to be able to just focus on finishing the bosses. There's really nothing special. The bosses are going to be vulnerable. You do, however, need to kill the Shaper before. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Make sure to debuff him. Make sure to do as much damage as possible. There's no reason to kill Elder here, because even if you kill Elder, he's not going to die. You have to kill the Shaper first. So let's see. Maybe my totems are actually going to kill him while I'm just sitting there dead. Nice little portal abusing here. Let's see if he dies. He's just about to die, and there you go. He's dead. And let's just see. Okay, unfortunately, our totems did not live long enough to kill the Elder as well, but, you know, technically that could have happened. Now, one thing that you have to be careful about this is that Maven can heal the bosses, right, when you're just sitting there waiting, so it's a little bit sketchy in that regards. Okay, so here we go again, walking around in a circle. I'm gonna go behind him, debuff him, and that should be it for this fight. So it wasn't the cleanest fight ever, but remember, this is with Maven on. And another thing is that I was actually trying to use a very minimal amount of flasks in this fight, because we know for a fact that they are nerfing the amount of flasks that we are going to be getting, right? So because of that, I tried, when I'm practicing my bossing, to use a very minimal amount of flasks. Now, of course, this is with Maven on, which makes the fight incredibly harder, like probably more than twice as hard. So a lot of the time with this build on a 5-link with this exact setup, I do this fight deathless almost every single time, and then I put Maven on, and all of a sudden it's a bit of a shit show, and, you know, I typically die. But I have yet to actually fail one of these fights so long as I'm with this setup. Now, I've tried on a 4-link. That was a little bit too excessive in terms of lack of damage. I've tried no flasks at all. That was also a bit excessive. But on this setup, it's been truly easy peasy lemon squeezy. Just don't panic, right? And remember, it's all about keeping the arena clean. Now, at the very end there, I have to say that my arena was actually getting a little bit too scuffed. Like, this is, you don't want your arena to look, oh well, I guess it's gone, but it was getting a little bit too scuffed, right? There was like a degen patch here. Like, it gets really hard to navigate the more degen patches that are on the ground. But again, like, if you're not super confident, practice in standard, and if you don't have the currency or whatever, just wait until you have a 6-link, wait until you have a little bit better, you know, gems and gem levels and all that. Wait until your setup is a little bit less scuffed than mine. Like, I have a level 20 ice spear with no quality, for example. Like, I'm missing a ton of damage. So wait until your damage is a little bit better than mine, and then it should be easy peasy, as long as, remember, just walk around in circle. That's all you have to do for this boss. Anyways, that's going to be it for this showcase and this bossing guide. Before I go, as always, I want to say a massive thank you to my supporters: Jordan, Fruit Fly, Thomas, Naroth, Master, Nake, Jekov, Flame Scorpion, Reese, ML, Road to Millions, Alex, Brandon, Don, Joseph, Welcome Back, Panda, Edicus, Scott, Bard, Grimoire, Johnny, Ronald, Kevin, Mercury, and Bizen, as well as, of course, anybody else who's supported me in the past and anybody else who wishes to remain anonymous. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this guide, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.